Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is awesome! Hello and welcome once again to Cheap Shot Entertainment. I am your host Luke, and this is another retro review for Cheap Shot Entertainment, and you are the Cheap Shot Nation. We're continuing our journey through the year 2000 with WrestleMania 2000, noted only for its Fatal 4-Way match, a Fatal 4-Way elimination match with a McMahon in every corner. Also notable was the release of the CD, the album, the rap album, Aggression, WWE Aggression, WWF Aggression. I listened to this album religiously. It was really good. If you've not listened to it, you've got Apple Music or Spotify or something like that, go and find this album. It's really, really good if you're a fan of rap music. It is parental advisory, so please make note of that. And obviously some of the words are cut out when certain wrestlers are sung to the ring, bringing to mind the first match. But this is WrestleMania 2000 or WrestleMania 16 in old money, if you're counting how many WrestleManias there are. It took place on the 2nd of April 2000, and it was at the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. Of course, the Arrowhead Pond, famous for the ice hockey team that plays there, which is the Ducks, or the Mighty Ducks as it were. Back in the day, a famous Disney film which you can probably find on Disney Plus, and I haven't got it actually. So anyway, yeah, so let's crack on to the first match, So it is tag team match, and it is Godfather and D'Lo versus with iced tea. That doesn't mean they drink iced tea. It means that they come out with the rapper Ice-T, who sings "Pimpin' Ain't Easy" and sings Godfather and D'Lo down to the ring with their whole train of hoes, all the way to a loss against Bull Buchanan and Big Boss Man, a throwaway match to start the show. Bull Buchanan, Big Boss Man, I've got a top rope leg drop. I love autocorrect, it's great. Top rope leg drop from Bull Buchanan to D'Lo for the win on this one. Again, like I say, first match. It's the way to get people going, and this was not the way to get people going. Very much a throwaway match. The best thing about this match was Ice-T singing D'Lo and the Godfather down to the ring. However, the hoes were also in presence, which means that the King would go, ha 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 ha, get over here, come and sit on commentary, come and sit on the commentary desk, ha 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 ha. Someone get this guy something to deal with his ADHD, because the King and commentary in 2000 did not go well together. Anyway, moving on to the next match. After the hoes are chased off by Bull Buchanan and the Big Boss Man, we move on to the next match, which is the Hardcore Battle Royal. And my goodness, this match was a bit of a cluster, but also very much a lot of fun. Now, I have taken note of every title change that happened during this Battle Royal, and we see a package where the referee Tim White, the one that tried to kill himself numerous times on live TV in the storyline, is giving the wrestlers the lowdown. So basically, the rules of a Hardcore Battle Royal: there's 15-minute time limit, and the title can change hands as many times as is needed. And that's where we get the Hardcore Battle Royal from. And basically, Crash is the champion going in. We have Taz, Viscera, Pete Gas, Joey Abs and Rodney. Of course, they are the Mean Street Posse. Hardcore Holly, the cousin of Crash. Taka, Michinoku and Funaki playing the role of Kai and Tai. No, they are Kai and Tai, of course. They made their appearance in the Royal Rumble several times. Headbanger, Mosh and Thrasher with their usual sort of bra, sticky, pointy Madonna things. Bradshaw and Farouk get a massive pop in this one, coming out as the APA. Crash Holly is the champion and he comes out last. So, it doesn't make any difference because it's a battle royal, so everyone's in there and everyone's just beating each other up, and basically it doesn't go in the ring for very long. And it's a fun match. It is a personification of the Hardcore title. It's everything that the 24/7 title should be now, but obviously the 24/7 title is made for the new era, the PG era, whereas the Hardcore title was made for the Attitude era, in which you could have blood and bins and all sorts of stuff. But Taz gets the first fall within the first minute on Crash Holly. Just clocks him with a bin and he goes down. Viscera gets the second fall and he keeps the title for a good long time. Funaki is the third man to pick up a victory in this match, followed by Rodney. We're in the back at this point. Funaki is trying to escape. We've got the King going. Shut up, King. So they go to the back. He tries to run out of the arena, tries to get away from the other competitors here. Rodney catches up with him. He gets the fourth title change. Joey Abs then pins Rodney to get the fifth. The sixth goes to Thrasher, the Headbanger, and Pete Gas makes up the trio of the Mean Street Posse, picking up a title victory. Taz becomes two-time Hardcore champion in one match, and he's followed by Crash, who is champion again, and he holds on right until the end, where I think there was a bit of a mess up with the timings and things like that, because Crash I think is supposed to kick out just before the end. He doesn't. Well, actually, I think he. Well, from what I can remember, the referee's hand went down. This is referee Tim White. The referee's hand went down. It didn't hit the mat, but then the bell rang. So I think it was supposed to ring, and the referee's hand went down after the bell. But they had to sort of go along with it, and I applaud them for that, because too often now we'll just go against what we've actually seen, and that's how the boos happen, and that's how people get annoyed. So they went along with it, and officially Hardcore Holly walks away as the champion. Crash thinks he's won. He gets the belt taken off him, and his cousin Hardcore Holly is the personification of hardcore in this one, because he takes the title belt with him. Now, like I say, that was a bit of a mess up, but Holly does win, and he takes the title. Backstage we see Head Cheese, that is Al Snow and the Lethal Weapon Steve Blackman, in the bathroom. We'll get a backstage segment, and Al Snow is talking to someone in the cubicle, and he says, "Light a match because someone has cut the cheese." Al Snow and Steve Blackman next, known as Head Cheese collectively. If you don't know what Head Cheese is, I wouldn't recommend you go and find out. It's quite disgusting, and it has nothing to do with actual cheese. So, they're going against TNA, that's Test and Albert, and they come out with Trish Stratus. So we get more Kings. Ha ha ha. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, they're introduced to Chester McCheeserton before TNA make their entrance, and we get the and he plays Let's Go Head Cheese on his butt cheeks, because there's 2 round holes in his little cheesy costume, and that's Al Snow for you. Obviously it's not Al Snow that's dressed up as Chester McCheesyton, but I found this quite hilarious, but quite offensive as well at the same time, but it was hilarious. So I'm a bit torn with this one. Obviously they don't use height challenged people anymore, vertically challenged people, shall we say, anymore, or not as often anyway. But there is a whole federation for midget wrestling, for dwarfism wrestlers and things like that, and it's quite, they beat each other up. They're quite good. If you ever go on YouTube and check that out, it's very much worth a watch. But yeah, Chester McCheesyton is out at ringside, and Trish Stratus is also accompanying TNA to the ring. Obviously, I'll say this gets the King going, ha 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 ha, come and sit on my lap, Trish, ha 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 ha. Oh wow, I'm just going to have that laugh in my head all the way through this now. But of course, Test and Albert do pick up the victory in this one. Another throwaway match, but a lot more fun than the first one, and with the diving elbow for the win. And yeah, Al Snow apologises very sincerely at the end of this match. He apologises to Steve Blackman and asks Chester McCheesyton to come into the ring, and thoroughly Al Snow cuts the cheese. And yeah, we don't see Chester McCheesyton again. Thank goodness for that. Now, another throwaway match, a mark of the year 2000. We get the Cat with Mae Young versus sorry, no, this is the segment to the back, and this is actually quite funny because if you've ever seen Austin Powers, where you've got the sexual references and things, there's a scene at the end of Austin Powers where Austin Powers is holding up 2 jugs of milk, and you've got Liz Hurley walking around naked in the background. It actually covers the bits that you know, some people do call jugs, and it's quite funny, and Mae Young and the Cat do this, and it's quite good. It's quite entertaining. It's a lot more entertaining than the match anyway, but it also makes me want to watch Austin Powers as well. I have been told when I'm at work, because I have to press a button to let people in, I've been told I'm a bit like Dr. Evil. I've got no button here, so I'm not Dr. Evil here, but there is times where I wish a fire pit would open and swallow some people. But with that being said, most of my customers are absolutely fantastic. So if you're watching this out of curiosity, because we're in lockdown and obviously the leisure centre is now closed, hello! This is what I do in my spare time when I'm not serving the general public. So we get a triple threat ladder match next for the tag team titles, and this match is fantastic. If you watch WrestleMania 2000 for a match, go straight to this one because it is great, and the show really picks up from here. They've cut the cheese, they've got rid of the dead weight, and now the show sort of picks up with a little bit of downturn, a bit of a roller coaster ride. But this triple threat ladder match, people often go to the TLC match at SummerSlam 2000. This, I think, is a lot better. I mean, it is good. So we go on to the triple threat ladder match next for the tag team championships. And if you go into WrestleMania 2000 or WrestleMania 16 on the network, which I believe is free for a couple of weeks, well, they always give a month free anyway, so while they're fully intending to advertise that as free, because everyone gets that, Basically, the triple threat ladder match. Everyone always goes to the TLC match at WrestleMania, at SummerSlam 2000, which is a great match. But this match, oh my goodness, such a good match. If you're a tag team wrestler, take note, because this is how to do tag team wrestling. There's extreme tag team wrestling, yes. There's weapons, there's things like that, and they put their bodies fully on the line here. But it is a fantastic match from three fantastic teams who know how to work each other, work the crowd, and work their characters. And that is the important thing here, that they know how to play their role in this match. So the triple threat ladder match features the Dudley Boys, who are the current tag team champions, and it versus the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. Now, obviously this feud has been building and building and building. The title's been swapping and swapping and swapping, and Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys has been a feature. And when the Dudley Boys came over, it added an extra dynamic, and the tag team division at this point was, well, it was hotter than what the AEW tag team division is now. And although AEW have got a lot of talent in their tag team division, I still don't think they use it very well. I don't think they know what to do with it. There's a lot of criticism for WWE not knowing what to do with all the talent they've got. Clearly AEW has the same problem. But we're going back into WWE and we're going into the year 2000. So these three teams are the prime example of tag team wrestling. Of course, the Dudley Boys coming over from ECW and really just hitting the ground running, because they are good. This was also the point where the Dudley Boys had this thing about powerbombing women through tables, which was a sign of the times, and probably a precursor to the women's revolution, really. The women can do what the men can do, and they can take bumps, and that's the thing. But they were never used as wrestlers. Occasionally they were, and they had some good matches, but I mean, there was the women's match on this card wasn't even a women's title match. That's what we're dealing with here. But fantastic match. I mean, bodies got put through tables, bodies got put through ladders, there were chairs involved, which is eventually why it evolved into the TLC match at SummerSlam 2000. But Edge and Christian would eventually win after the Dudley Boys set up two ladders, put a table on top as a platform so they could reach the title belts, and Edge and Christian win by shoving Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is on the platform. He is about ready to grab those titles, the gold, and Edge comes along, pushes Matt Hardy through a waiting table at the bottom, because of course you're going to set up a table for that. It's going to break your fall. It's going to hurt, but it's probably a lot better than hitting the solid wood underneath that would be the canvas. Hardy gets put through a table. Of course, the other three guys, Devon, Dudley, Bubba Ray Dudley, and Jeff Hardy, are all on the outside at this point, been beaten, battered, put through tables, put through chairs, put through ladders, so all three teams were involved in this in some way at different points, and ENC grabbed the title belts, and they are the new tag team champions. What a match, fantastic. I would absolutely fully recommend this match, because 3-second poses are the thing, because ENC, baby, ENC, they are the new tag team champions. Now we go on to the reason that the women's division was failing back in the year 2000, because this match was dubbed as a cat fight. It wasn't a wrestling match, it was a cat fight. And then we get to hear the king going, ha 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 ha, here kitty kitty kitty, here kitty kitty kitty. Oh, good lord. Val Venus comes out as the special guest referee in this one.
I can't help you with iTunes on Apple Watch.
Go away, Siri. Blinking it. So Val Venus is the special guest referee, and he's wearing a referee's towel. If you don't know what a referee's towel is, it is a white towel with black stripes, and apparently that's a thing, but he is the special ref for this one. Terry is with the fabulous Moolah. I don't know if we're allowed to say that name, judging knowing what she's done in the past, but she is with Terry, and she's Terry's mentor. And we get Mae Young, who comes down to the ring with Kat. The Kat, who would be the former, I think, was she the former women's champion at this point, and future women's champion. Women's wrestling wasn't great at this point. They had a few very talented ladies that weren't used. They were only used in bra and panties matches, and cat fights and pudding matches and things like that. And at the time, I was a hormonal teenager, and I loved that. As an adult, pass. Anyway, cat fight. We've got Terry versus the cat. I'm not sure what. Right, so actually, I do know what the rules are in this match. There are no pins or submissions. You just have to chuck your opponent out of the ring. So it's a lumberjill match without the lumberjills, basically. But the lumberjill match, they would at least put the wrestlers back into the ring after beating them up a little bit. This doesn't seem to have any purpose or any point apart from to get two ladies out to the ring for people to gawk on and for the king to go, here kitty kitty kitty, here kitty kitty kitty. My goodness. Also of note, I will mention the king again. This is also the point where the king would come to the ring and get away with coming to the ring with his his tights, his wrestling tights and his ring jacket, so you could see his hairy chest. It was quite disturbing for the time, but 2000 WWE. So Terry wins this one. Val Venus gets distracted by Mae Young's petrified tongue. Although I do rag on the king, he does come out with some great things, and petrified tongue is fantastic. Obviously Mae Young plants a big kiss on Val Venus, and fabulous Moolah pulls the cat out of the ring, and Terry wins. Enough said about that, the better. Right, 6-person tag team match now, because we've got Chyna in this match. It's Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero of the Radicals versus Too Cool, that's Scotty, Too Hottie, and two Grandmasters Sexy, Brian Christopher, who is sadly passed away now, and Chyna, who has also sadly passed away. The only member of that team still with us is Scotty Too Hottie. Again, another throwaway match. It was quite fun. The Radicals are fantastic. I loved Too Cool back in 2000s, and Chyna was just transcending everything that female wrestlers could do. She was beating up the blokes, and it was fun. And obviously a former member of DX, she split from the group as she became more face, and then you've got Eddie Guerrero trying to woo Chyna because she's Mamacita, and he can't take his Latino heat. Chyna gets a measure of revenge on Eddie Guerrero for chasing her around and just wanting to take her out on a date. And China hits a reverse DDT on Guerrero for some measure of revenge. We then get a dance break, of course, and everyone's happy. 2 out of 3 falls match next for the Intercontinental Championship and the European Championship. Famously, Bob Backlund negotiated this match for Kurt Angle, as Kurt Angle brought in Bob as his advisor. Kurt Angle then put Bob Backlund in a chicken wing, and we didn't see him again for a good long while. Thank you very much, Kurt Angle. You've done your duty. It is Chris Jericho versus Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle in a triple threat match. Amazingly, for most of the match, Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle are just flopping around with no apparent reason behind it. They just sort of jumping and being hit with moves by an invisible force, and I can't quite decide why. No, Chris Benoit, I'm going to say his name, can't say this enough. Fantastic wrestler, had everything about him to be world champion, and he was, and it was a good time when he was, but obviously I can't condone or make up any excuses for what he has apparently done back in 2006, and that is murder his wife and children, or wife and child, and there's no excuse for that whatsoever, and it's the reason that no one's ever mentioned him since. But he was a fantastic wrestler, and he did pick up a victory in this match because he became the Intercontinental Champion, because the first fall of the 2 out of 3 falls match was for the Intercontinental Championship, and the second fall was for the European Championship. So yeah, I don't know if Kurt Angle if he had won the second bout, whether they would have gone to the third fall, because technically it's 2 out of 3 falls. I don't think they actually had a third fall, to be honest, because there was no point. But yeah, it's interesting that, actually. I've never really thought about that, but answers in the comment section down below. So yeah, he becomes the Intercontinental Champion, pinning Chris Jericho famously after the diving headbutt, which has now almost been proven to have caused him major concussions, which is the reason why he was on so many drugs when he did what he did. But Kurt Angle loses the Intercontinental Championship without being involved in the match, and of course this riles Kurt Angle because he is using his 3 eyes: intensity, integrity and intelligence, but in this case he wasn't even involved in the fall. Now the second fall is for the European Championship. Can anybody remember the European Championship? Because I can. It was a beautiful championship held first by the British Bulldog, who is going into the Hall of Fame this year, finally, and I should have been there, but obviously with the coronavirus thing and Trump putting a travel ban on everything, I was really annoyed to find out I wouldn't be there for the British Bulldog going into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, in hindsight, you don't want to be travelling round. Now Boris has put us all in detention, so this is my thing that I do now, and I'm going to be doing a lot of videos over the coming weeks. So there you go. So yeah, Lion Salt on Benoit picks up the victory for Chris Jericho, and he becomes the European Championship. He becomes the European Championship. He's like a transformer. I'm going to transform into the European Championship. He doesn't transform into the European Championship. He just holds the European Championship and goes, "Yay! I'm the European Champion." And obviously Kurt Angle is a bit annoyed by this because he's not involved in either fall, and he's lost both of his championships. So yeah, there we go. But obviously Kurt Angle would go on to bigger and better things as we go through the year, so it all becomes a good thing in the end. And one of the most, if not the most successful rookie year ever in the history of WWE. So yeah, Angle was never pinned, he never submitted, he was not involved in either fall and lost both of his championships. Obviously very annoyed at this point. So yeah, we go on to the next match, which is a tag team match, and it's DX, the DX 2000 I suppose, being sung to the ring by Run DMC, the Kings, which is also on the WWF Aggression CD. Again, brilliant song, love it. X-Pac and Road Dogg with Tori, who used to go out with Kane but now is going out with X-Pac after X-Pac turned his back on his former friend Kane. Obviously X-Pac being tiny, Kane being large, and Kane wanting to kick some ass. And speaking of ass, the tag team partner for Kane is actually Rikishi. And if you're going to be talking about ass, you've got to talk about Rikishi's ample posterior and backing it up, because that's exactly what he does. He backs it up on everybody, including Tori, and they all get a major case of ass face. So the match again is quite fun. There's not much going off here. Obviously DX are trying to do everything they can to distract Kane, beat up Kane, whatever. Obviously the two in the opposite corner, Kane and Rikishi, are both very much able to defend themselves, and they end up picking up the victory. Tombstone pile driver onto Road Dogg for the win for Rikishi and Kane. And after the match they have a dance break with Too Cool and the San Diego Chicken. Now Kane doesn't get involved in the dance break, the San Diego Chicken does, and all the time Kane is looking at the San Diego Chicken. If you don't know who the San Diego Chicken is, I don't either. Answers in the comments section down below, but I'm guessing it's some kind of sports mascot. It's been a long running thing for a couple of years with Kane and Pete Rose that they have a thing going every single WrestleMania. Now it stopped after about 3 or 4 years, but it was a heck of a lot of fun while it was happening, and Kane just thinks that Pete Rose might be in the chicken suit, but he's not. So he attacks the chicken, he goes "Arr," and it's like "Arr." You know, like, because he can't talk, it's like, "You're Pete Rose," in his best Kane voice, now mayor of Knoxville, and goes to chokeslam, and Pete Rose sneaks up behind him with a baseball bat, and Kane is informed by the crowd and by Rikishi that Pete Rose is going to attack him. So sneaks up behind Kane. Kane turns around, he runs off, gets a big foot in the face from Rikishi, big man hitting a sweet chin music, a super kick as it were, on Pete Rose, and he gets a choke slam for his troubles as well, and then gets a serious case of ass breath, as JR would call it. Brilliant. A serious case of ass breath. Yeah, I've got to say the after party was much more fun than the actual match. Like I say, it did pick up towards the end, and now we have the main event. McMahon in every corner, Linda, Stephanie, Shane and Vince. Who is going to prevail in this one? Fatal 4-way elimination match. So if you are pinned or submitted, you're out of there. Out of there. You get gone. You're not in the match anymore. And obviously the whole thing with these 4 guys is that The Rock and Big Show have been having a feud for the last couple of months, and Triple H and Mankind or Mick Foley, or Dude Love, or Cactus Jack have been having a feud for the last couple of months. In fact, the previous month, at No Way Out, which you can see on the channel as a review, Triple H retired Mick Foley, but Linda McMahon brought him back for one last match, it being the main event, and he's living his dream as the main event of WrestleMania. So Linda McMahon is in the corner of Mick Foley. The Big Show is in this match, and Shane says, "I'll come and help you." So Shane is in the corner of the Big Show. The Rock, I don't think, wanted any help, but Vince is like, "Oh, I'm not going to be outdone. I'm Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I'm going to be in the corner of The Rock." And last one, Stephanie McMahon. Obviously, Stephanie McMahon Helmsley at this point in the corner of her husband, which is now a real life husband, and they've got several children together, which the oldest one is now training to be a wrestler. Now that is how long ago this is. So there you go. So you've got McMahon in every single corner. Obviously hijinks ensue. It's a bit like watching a cartoon, but the match itself is the personification of brilliance, because even though it's a fatal four-way match, you've got the feud being continued between the two warring factions, so to speak. So Big Show pairs off with The Rock, Mankind pairs off with Triple H, and it's all good. Again, another match. If you watch two matches on this card, the triple threat tag team ladder match is fantastic, steals the show for the undercard, but the fatal four-way match is just nuts, and I love it. This is why I love professional wrestling. So yeah, there you go. So we get first elimination. Big Show, you'd think he'd be ass kicking, he's the biggest man in there, you know, boom, boom, boom. The other three team up on him and eventually eliminate him. He gets rock bottomed on the chair to be eliminated by The Rock, the man who he campaigned against as not being the rightful winner of the Royal Rumble back in January. And he successfully did that, and he beat The Rock one-on-one in dodgy circumstances at No Way Out, only to be put into this match with the other three guys and not ever have his one-on-one championship match. Now, so that would be that, and the Big Show would then beat up The Rock. I think he put him through the announce table at that point. Obviously they weren't fully breakable at that point, so and they had the big TV monitors as well. So yeah, The Rock gets put through a table, Big Show is eliminated, Shane McMahon directing traffic, of course, and yeah, it's all fun, you know, it's all good. So we get one elimination. That's the first elimination. Mick Foley is eliminated next. He gets pedigreed on the chair a couple of times to be eliminated by Triple H. So again, the feuds have now been finished existentially, and the feud that we've seen many times, and you know, will never really get bored of. I mean, this feud's been going since 1996 at this point. They've had ladder matches and all sorts of things, and it was all for the Intercontinental Championship. That's when it meant something. That's when you won the Intercontinental Championship, and that propelled you to the main event. People now, wrestlers, they jump over the championship. Once they lose the championship, they now have nothing to go for again because someone else is there. Now, if you're fighting over the Intercontinental Championship, the mid-card championship, and you lose the mid-card championship and go for the main championship, people feel like you've earned it. And I'm no different with that. And these two have definitely earned it at this point. The year 2000, they have earned their keep. They have gone through several character changes. They've gone through everything they need to do. They've been through wars together, against each other, with each other, fighting by each other's side. I'm thinking about the McMahon-Helmsley regime and the corporation and things like that. And then these two just put on a clinic. It's one-on-one at this point. They put on a clinic. Vince McMahon does get involved with this one. Obviously Stephanie staying outside of the ring. Shane McMahon comes round to attack his dad. Vince retaliates, beats up his son, and this is what I love about this match. It's so crazy. These at this point the McMahons should definitely go on Jerry Springer and just start throwing chairs at each other, because they are the most dysfunctional family in America, more dysfunctional than the Simpsons, because these guys and girls, they use chairs and weapons, and they have their daughters married to the Prince of Darkness in a dark ceremony with the Undertaker and Stephanie McMahon, and it becomes the Hour Power and all that kind of stuff. Nuts. Love wrestling in 2000. The storylines were great. So yeah, the chair. Vince comes in with a chair because he's annoyed at this point. Shane's come out. He wants to help The Rock win. He wants to win. He goes to hit Triple H with the chair. He doesn't. He turns it on The Rock, hits The Rock with the chair, and we get the swerve. I love the swerve. Hits The Rock to give Triple H the victory. The Rock selling it on the mat, going as he should, because he's The Rock, of course. Sorry about that, if there was a bit of crackle there, my microphone went underneath the desk. Triple H retains. Stephanie receives a people's elbow for her trouble. Goes to slap The Rock. She gets a rock bottom and a people's elbow, and everyone goes, "Hey!" In conclusion, a great WrestleMania was had by all in 2000. And I'd honestly forgotten how good this show was. There were some throwaway matches, but you didn't mind them because everything around them was so good. Catfight aside, first match, but that had hose in it. It was just, it was really good. I'm really enjoying going through the year 2000 for you guys, for the Cheap Shot Nation. Really enjoying going through it for myself. Obviously been 20 years, and now it just makes me feel like, it's been 20 years, there's no real WrestleMania this year. It's going to be in an empty arena, and the Performance Center is just going to be, it's going to be weird. But what we are going to do, and what we are planning to do, is to do a group podcast through the Anchor app. And if you haven't heard the podcast, go and search for the Talk is Cheap podcast on Spotify or any of your on any social media platforms. We've got it on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the moment. So you find the little icon, there's a golden microphone with Talk is Cheap podcast on it. Also put a thing on there where you can scan the bar and it will pop up on your phone, so check that out. I had a great conversation which lasted over an hour with classy Kyle Gibson of the Aspire Wrestling Alliance. We shoot the breeze, we talk everything from photography to wrestling and everything else in between. A great WrestleMania was WrestleMania 2000. Don't know how this WrestleMania is going to go this year. Obviously I'm going to end up watching it on my own. It's going to be over 2 nights, which is interesting. Obviously don't have to get up or anything because my leisure centre's closed, although I do need to get in touch with my line manager and say, hold on a minute, I've booked in some holidays there, can I have them back? Because I'm basically on holiday anyway. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? But, you know, we finally all, you know, ends up that we're all able to watch it. Mike is on his school holidays and everyone else, and we've all got to watch it separately, in separate living rooms, in separate towns, but we endeavour to bring that podcast to you as soon as the first part of WrestleMania is finished. We'll do one for the second part as well, and it'll just be us shooting the breeze, asking questions, having a chat, and yeah, we'd love to share that with you guys. And so you can join us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, which I've already mentioned. You can hit the notification bell to know when we upload new content to the channel. Hit the subscribe button to show your love for Cheap Shot Entertainment and all the things we do. If you are on lockdown and bored, please hit up some of our videos. We love making them for you. I love making them for you. I love watching wrestling and movies and then giving you, and here's my opinion, and I will say go and watch this film if I think you need to go and watch it. If I do watch an absolute dud, I tend not to make a review of it because, you know, someone somewhere would say, oh, that movie's really good, what are you doing? Because, you know, it's the internet. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Go and get your merch from the Cheap Shot Nation store on Close to Order. Link in the description, and I will also put a link to the podcast in there as well, so you guys can join us with that and listen to what we have to say during WrestleMania. And we'll obviously be on social media, very active on social media as well, so if you want to get in contact with us during WrestleMania, then please do. And also check out the quick shot reviews, as we have done Ready to Rumble recently, and the review of Slamboree 2000 will be coming early in July. So I tend to do the retro reviews and try and drop them on the days that they came out. So I believe that was the 2nd of July, something like that. So yeah, that'll be dropping later on. I've got lots of content to bring you as well during lockdown. Obviously I'm going to have more time on my hands to do these things, so you don't have to, including an Easter special, which I'm hoping to film with Mike. Don't know how we're going to do it yet, but there you go. Might just see how things go with that. Anyway, you are Cheap Shot Nation. I've been your host, Luke. Thank you very much for watching and supporting Cheap Shot Entertainment, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.